Just like all scripted reality TV, UFC 1 was pretty interesting. Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Jesse and I'm the founder and grandmaster of MMA, Mexican martial arts. I'm very happy to say that this video is sponsored by the Ridge Wallet. Now let's get it.
Acting! Brilliant! Thank you! Thank you!
The very first fighter ever to make his way to the UFC cage was actor Taylor Wiley.
Alright!
However, during this performance, he would be playing the role of Taylor Tooley. And this wasn't a coincidence. This fool had already been on TV. They knew he was an actor. This was just another gig for him. You may recognize him from Hawaii Five-0 or Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he was also paid to pretend like he was fighting. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Grandmaster, why would the UFC pay someone to pretend like they're fighting? For the same reason they do it today. Fit their narrative. Having a giant like Taylor Wiley in the tournament would just make Royce Gracie look that much better when they gave him that medal. And they knew that Royce wouldn't have to fight him because they had that Popeye looking ref looking for any excuse to stop the fight.
Hey Cinderella!
The UFC has had problems with dirty referees since day one. Some things never change. He wanted to stop it because Taylor lost a tooth. Anthony Smith was handing his teeth to the referee. And the UFC is softer today than it ever was back then. And then supposedly, he was concerned about the blood. Hey fool, this isn't a grappling tournament. I guess it was. No fight since then has ever been stopped for such a small amount of blood. Nate Diaz bleeds that much during the walkout. But I gotta give props to Taylor. He actually made me believe that he wanted to keep fighting for a moment. Maybe he didn't win that medal, but he should have won an Oscar.
You mean I'm gonna stay this color?
I know, it's a heavy subject, but it's history. And you can't erase history. Just ask Chris D'Elia.
His Snapchat goes away, right? How they...
He probably saved it. You can screen record, take screenshots.
Wow.
You gotta know that that's gonna happen.
In the UFC's very first fight, Taylor Wiley faced Gerard Gordeau. Gerard was from the Netherlands, like Peter Pan. But he was acting like he just came straight out of American History X. But then during his interview, he started talking like Goldmember.
The look of it, the taste of it, the smell of it.
It was very disarming. Smart move. You would think that Gerard wouldn't be so obvious, but he probably thought that the UFC had his back on this one. Think about it. All of the first round matchups were between light-skinned vatos and what Twitter refers to as people of color. UFC 1 was nothing short of a race war. But you gotta be careful when you enable people like Gerard. He didn't even want to stop when the fight was over. He was trying to curb stomp that fool. And Taylor Wiley was over here like, chill homie, it's only business. I'm a thespian.
The first one's free.
UFC 1 was just one big Gracie Jiu-Jitsu commercial.
Grappling is a very, very interesting art, and I think what you're going to see tonight is quite a few of these fights go to the ground.
And they were as relentless back then as they are today.
Well, you know, it's interesting. 95% of the fights, according to PD, police department studies, end up on the ground.
When you watch the event, it's as if they were given very Pacific talking points.
A large percentage of fights anywhere end up on the ground.
Well, you know, it's interesting. 95% of the fights, according to PD, police department studies, end up on the ground.
This fool sounds like he's trying to sell me a car.
You're probably going to see jiu-jitsu, in my estimation, at its best.
Or at least try to sell me on how to fight in a car.
She dives around, she puts the hand around the neck, she locks it up, gable grip or standing right here.
Wait a minute. Machado? That name sounds pretty BJJ-ish, doesn't it? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't like to speculate. So I went on Wikipedia, and it didn't take much research to find out that Rod Machado trained in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu for over a decade. They had a man on the inside, and Bill Wallace confirmed it in an interview with the karate nerd, Jesse Enkamp.
So basically I'm thinking, no, something doesn't sound right here.
Right.
It seems to me like it's a 2-hour advertisement for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which is what it turned out to be.
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was the product that they were trying to sell you. And Royce Gracie was the poster boy. They even made him play up the accent so that he could sound like Mackenzie Dern.
To give him the chance, the opportunity to go through this.
And what's up with all the talk and confusion about his weight?
Of all the 8 fighters, Royce is the lightest. I think he weighs 176.
178 pounds.
I bet you that fool was like 215. I know what you're thinking. Grandmaster got that OnlyFans cake. And even though you are correct, that's not what's going on right here. That's what I look like when I use my old wallet. I was carrying around things I didn't need. Things that didn't make sense. And it was making me uneven. I guess you could use 2 wallets, one on each side, if you want to get on that Louis Stevens level. But I'm not trying to get that kind of attention. You could also try keeping this wallet in your front pocket. But if I show you what that looks like, then this video will get age restricted. Let me get to the point. If you don't got a Ridge wallet, then this is your best look. Mira, it's sleek, it's stylish, it's practical. It fits up to 12 cards. Oh, what about cash? It's right there. Oh, what about coins? I heard that they're all gone. I don't know. Stop carrying around things that you don't need and make your life simpler with the Ridge wallet. It's the last wallet you'll ever have to buy. Nah. It's the last wallet you'll ever want to buy. There's over 30 styles and colors to choose from, including burnt titanium and carbon fiber. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/Voto. That's ridge.com/Voto. And use the code VOTO. Link down below. Please get one.
Once a cheater, always a cheater.
It's bad enough that the commentating was so biased in favor of Royce Gracie.
Royce he's got an excellent base, one of the fundamental positions in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu right now.
But it went farther than that. He has several unfair advantages when it came to the actual fight. Now, I don't believe in hand wraps because I've been hardened by training and the legal justice system. But most fighters like to wrap their hands to protect their knuckles. However, these fighters were not allowed to do this.
Yeah, they had the meeting and they decided no hand wraps at all would be allowed.
The best that they would let them do was tape their wrists, probably just for insurance purposes. But all of a sudden, these strikers were at a disadvantage. But it's no skin off Royce Gracie's knuckles. Literally, they knew that that fool would never be in danger of broken hands, because that fool doesn't throw hands. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Grandmaster, what about that fool with the one glove? His hand was protected. Royce Gracie wasn't tripping about that glove. I've already covered the ridiculousness of fighting with a bunch of padding on your hand. He knew it wasn't gonna hurt him. Plus, look at that fool fighting with the one glove. That fool's not posing a threat to anybody. That's that Michael Jackson right there. Even after Gerard Gordeau broke his hand, they still wouldn't let him wrap it. But the lack of wraps was not the only disadvantage for the strikers. They were also fighting on a sponge. Balance is very important to the striker, and the Gracies took that away. They knew that Royce was gonna be spending a lot of time on the ground, and they wanted him to be comfortable in that memory foam. The strikers were never able to get their footing or their clothing. That's right, Royce Gracie was the only one allowed to wear his gi. Now I know that some fools wouldn't have wore clothes anyway. Taylor Wiley's not gonna wear a gi, and Ken Shamrock's trying to get on Baywatch. But the fact is, they weren't even allowed to. And you would think that they would want to cover up the fact that it worked to Royce Gracie's advantage. But instead, they decided to brag about its effectiveness so that they could get some students.
Actually, Bill, it will work in his favor. It'll be easier to grapple with the guy to actually get more friction on an arm. So, yes.
I guess they wanted to be like, people wear their clothes in the streets, so you should train with your clothes on. Good point. People also wear shoes in the streets, so why did you make Ken Shamrock take his off?
24 hours before I'm supposed to step into the ring, they tell me I can't wear my wrestling shoes.
And how come when the boxer with asthma asked you not to use the smoke machine, you didn't listen? And how come Royce's brother Rorion did him like Mickey and handpicked the fighters?
Rorion Gracie picked the fighters.
He was handpicked! Sad!
Apparently Rorion isn't very thorough, because he let Frank Dukes Jr. slip through the cracks. At that time, Patrick Smith's record was 250-0.
An astounding record of 250-0!
And he was even prepared to fight blindfolded. He changed his mind at the last second, but still, if he wasn't fighting the world's most dangerous man, he probably would have left the towel on, and he probably would have left undefeated. However, his record was tarnished that day. And a few years later, so was his other record. But somehow, he is still actually held in higher regard than Frank Dukes. When we think back to the early days of the UFC, we think of the pure martial arts. We think about respect and honor and how it seemed to be better, which it was. But this event reminds us that there was drama since day one, and that's because of Ken Shamrock. At this point, Ken Shamrock had already been catch wrestling. If you don't know what catch wrestling is, it's basically WWE, but without government funding. So Shamrock was used to putting on a show.
What are you doing?
Who could have known that he would be the gateway thug to future UFC drama?
It's gonna be a long night.
Yes! When most people think of the Attitude Era, they think about that sweet chin music, the Stone Cold Stunner, the Rock Bottom, and China. But I think about the world's most dangerous man. That fool was looking at Royce Gracie the way I look at Chinese food. Even when the fights were over, he didn't want to stop. And then he started acting up with the interviewer.
Now let's go to Ken Shamrock for his views on exactly what happened in that bout.
However, he did redeem himself. The ref didn't see him tap, and he could have got away with it and continued to fight. But he doesn't get down like that. There's some people out there who could learn from him.
And the way I thought it worked was that if you tapped, you lost that round. So I thought what they would do is they go to a judge's decision, they go 4 rounds to 1, and we go home and I'd be the new champion. And if anyone had explained to me that that stops the bout in its entirety, I would not have tapped.
You know what? Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
When Mike Tyson beat Evander Holyfield, he didn't just become a biter. He became a biter. In the final match of UFC 1, Royce Gracie took the back. And it looks like Gerard Gordeau doesn't know what to do. It looks like he's just laying there, but he's actually biting that fool.
I didn't feel him tapping.
You didn't?
He shouldn't beat me.
Mira, Marilena beat me yesterday. He won the first match by knocking out Taylor Wiley's teeth. And now he's trying to win this match by using his own teeth. Fortunately for Royce, he had that 500-count Egyptian cotton sleeve on.
Actually, Bill, it will work in his favor.
Gerard's teeth weren't getting through that, unless his teeth were named Kazushi Sakuraba. Remember, UFC 1 was in 1993. 4 years later, Mike Tyson beat Evander Holyfield, and somehow it remains the least weird thing that he's ever done. But he was clearly watching and learning. UFC 1 influenced the world of fighting. The biting, the getting paid to pretend like they're fighting, the drama, the heels, the Dana White privilege, the Dana White power, the biased commentary, the dirty referees, the BJJ propaganda. Having said that, please don't forget to join me for the Mexican Fight Companion on September 26th and all the fight nights before that. Thank you to the Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video. And thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon, YouTube membership, PayPal, Super Chat. I appreciate you, and I'm here because of you. If you would like to support me and help me keep doing this, then you can find the links down below. And don't forget that all of your likes, dislikes, comments help me out a lot. So please say some things down below. Thank you for watching Mexican Martial Arts. Appreciate it. Good looking out. Late.